Hi, you're on the Reddit Confessions channel, where real stories sting harder than fiction. Let me tell you what happened the moment I opened the front door and saw the curtains moving. Not waving in the wind. Moving. Deliberately. Like someone was hiding behind them. I didn't announce myself. I just stood there in the hallway, holding a bag of groceries, heart pounding like I just sprinted across town. Everything in the house felt wrong. Like the air had changed. I walked into the kitchen and saw 2 wine glasses in the sink. That wouldn't be weird, except Colette had told me she was doing a detox. No wine. No alcohol. No sugar. Clean body, clean mind. She'd even rolled her eyes when I bought a 6-pack last week. So why were there 2 lipstick-smudged glasses? Still wet? I didn't say a word. I just set the groceries on the counter, walked upstairs quietly, and listened at the bedroom door. Silence. Too much silence. That awful kind of silence where you know people are holding their breath behind it. Then it happened. The door clicked. She walked out, towel wrapped around her. Fake surprised like she'd just seen a ghost. "Oh, you're home early." I didn't ask anything. I didn't look into the room. I didn't need to. Something inside me snapped. Like a thread holding together 15 years of my life just tore down the middle. I wasn't a confrontational guy. Never have been. I was the type to apologize when someone bumped into me. But not that day. That day, I simply said, "Don't bother explaining. Just give me 15 minutes. She tried to speak. Stammered something about a work friend who stopped by because of a broken tail light. I went straight to our closet, pulled out the emergency travel bag I'd kept packed for years and never used, walked past her like she was furniture, and left. I didn't even close the front door. No dramatic exit. No scene. Just silence. It's been 2 years since that moment. 2 years of no calls, no texts, no tracking me down. I made sure of that. But last week, she found me. And what she came to say changed everything. It was a Tuesday morning. Cloudless sky, quiet streets, and the hum of my old coffee maker filling the background of my small rented cabin in Washington. I'd carved out a life here. Quiet, simple, anonymous. No photos on the walls. No digital footprints. My name on the mailbox read G. Rowe. Short for Gregory, but no one ever asked. Locals knew me as the guy who fixed up outboard motors and didn't talk much. That's exactly how I liked it. No past. No expectations. Just trees, water, and silence. Then I got the letter. Not a knock. Not a phone call. A letter. No return address. No name. Just a cream envelope taped to my door with my full name written in Colette's handwriting. Still sharp, still elegant. Like she was daring me to ignore it. I didn't open it right away. I left it sitting on the counter for hours, sipping cold coffee and staring at it like it might explode. My hands trembled when I finally peeled it open, half hoping it would be something stupid. Some delayed bank notice or legal formality. It wasn't. Inside was a single sentence. "You need to see something." Folded beneath that line was a Polaroid photo. Not digital. Not printed. A real old-school Polaroid. It was of her. She looked different. Pale. Hair shorter. No makeup. Eyes hollow. But it was what she was holding that made my stomach drop. A baby. A baby with my eyes. I didn't know how long I sat there. I kept checking the back of the photo like it would suddenly reveal more than just a scribbled date. For months ago, I didn't call. I didn't write back. I burned the envelope, but I kept the photo. That night, I didn't sleep. My mind looped every possibility. Lies? A trap? Some sick way to reel me back in? But what if it wasn't? The next morning, I took my keys, turned off the porch light, and drove into town. It had been 751 days since I last saw Colette. Now I was going back. I didn't tell anyone I was leaving town. There wasn't anyone to tell. The cabin landlord didn't even know my real name. I just locked the door behind me, left the key on the kitchen table, and drove off into the fog. I didn't have a plan. I just knew where she used to live. Our old house in Ashridge. And if she was trying to find me now, that's probably where she'd be waiting. Or hoping. I pulled into the neighborhood around midnight, parking 4 houses down like a burglar. The street looked untouched. like the past hadn't moved an inch. Our house still had the same lavender bushes out front. Porch light flickering the way it always did when it rained. There was a different car in the driveway, black, newer, but everything else was hauntingly familiar. I sat in my car for an hour, trying to decide if I should even go up. Every part of me screamed not to. I didn't owe her anything. I didn't ask for any of this. But that photo, that child, that couldn't be faked. And if it was real, then part of me had never left at all. I knocked just once. The porch light died the second my knuckles hit the wood. Figures. The door opened a few seconds later, and there she was, Colette, wrapped in a gray sweater, hair a mess, no eyeliner in sight. For a moment, she looked like a stranger. Then her lips parted, and her knees almost buckled. "Gregory," she whispered like I was a ghost she'd summoned and now regretted. I didn't say a word. I just looked at her. 15 years of marriage, 2 years of silence, and now this impossible moment. She motioned me inside, and I stepped over the threshold like it was a cliff. Inside, everything smelled the same. Cinnamon candles, fabric softener. Her world had stayed soft while mine had rusted. I didn't sit. "Where is the baby?" I asked. She hesitated. "He's not here right now. He's with someone I trust." I wanted to talk first. I stared at her. "Is he mine?" Her eyes welled instantly, like she'd been waiting for that question to break her. "Yes," she choked. "I swear to God, he's yours. I never told you because I didn't think you'd ever come back. I didn't know how to find you, and when I finally did, I wasn't ready." I felt like the floor tilted under me. The betrayal was still fresh. The wounds were still bleeding. But now, this was a wound I hadn't even known existed. "I need proof," I said quietly. "And I need the truth. All of it. No games." And then I saw it. A suitcase in the corner, half-zipped. Clothes inside. A baby bottle resting on top. She wasn't just telling me. She was planning to leave again. But this time I had questions. She noticed me staring at the suitcase and shifted slightly, as if to block my view of it with her body. But it was too late, I'd already seen it. I could see it in her eyes too, the flicker of panic. Not the kind of panic you get when you're caught doing something wrong. No, this was the kind you get when a secret you've built your world around is about to detonate. "I wasn't running," she said quickly, like she knew exactly what I was thinking. "I was scared you wouldn't come. I thought if I left town again, maybe it would all just fade." "What would fade?" I asked, voice lower than I expected. "Me? Or your guilt?" She looked down. "Both." I took a slow step into the living room. It was eerily clean. Not lived in clean, staged clean. Like someone was trying to wipe away the past hour with Lysol and silence. "Where is he?" I asked again. "The baby. Where's our son?" She hesitated, then walked to the mantel and picked up a small photo frame. She handed it to me like it was evidence in a trial. The boy had curly dark hair and a tiny toothless smile that hit me like a punch. My nose, my eyebrows, even the tiny swirl of hair on his left temple. I have the same one. But there was another man in the photo, holding him, smiling. I turned it around. No names, just another date. 5 months ago. "Who's this?" I asked, holding the frame tighter than I meant to. Colette sat down slowly. "His name is Thad. He thought the baby was his. I let him believe that." Silence. Pure, horrible silence. My voice cracked. "So you cheated on him too?" She didn't answer right away. Her eyes glossed over as she stared at the floor like it might swallow her. "I didn't know who the father was until the paternity test. I told him the baby was his because I needed help. I had no job, no plan. I didn't even know if I'd ever find you again." "So you lied to him? Just like you lied to me?" "I didn't lie to you," she said suddenly, sharp. "I betrayed you. That's worse." She stood and walked to the window. The moonlight cast a long shadow over her back, making her look smaller than I remembered. More fragile. Or maybe just more afraid. "I wrote you letters. Dozens. I sent them to your old job, your brother, even your college alumni office. No one ever replied. You vanished. I thought you were dead. Or that you hated me so much you'd rather disappear than let me apologize. I didn't know what to believe anymore. But something in her voice cracked open a door I thought I'd sealed forever. If she was telling the truth now, it meant I had a son I never met. If she wasn't, I was walking into another mess with my name stamped on it. Then she said something I didn't expect. He's never met his real father. But if you want to, Gregory, you can meet him tomorrow. And suddenly, everything became real. The next morning felt like the longest one of my life. I hadn't slept. Couldn't. My body was still in the same house I left 2 years ago. But my mind was in 50 different places, running simulations of what could go wrong. What if the child didn't recognize me? What if Thad showed up mid-visit, thinking I was some stranger sniffing around his family? Or worse, what if the child wasn't mine at all, and this entire thing was a manipulation born from guilt and loneliness? Colette had made breakfast like it was a normal day: oatmeal, toast, some oversteeped tea. I didn't touch any of it. She kept glancing at me like I might vanish again at any moment. Maybe I should have. But it was too late for that now. At 10:04 a.m., a silver SUV pulled into the driveway. She stood up and went to the door without a word. Through the living room window, I watched as a young woman stepped out of the driver's seat, then unbuckled a toddler from the back. I couldn't move. My breath got caught somewhere between my ribs and my throat. He was smaller than I expected, walking a little wobbly, but full of energy. The woman, probably a sitter or friend, said something to Colette, handed her a diaper bag, then drove off like it was any other errand. Then the door opened. Colette stepped aside. "This is Rory," she said quietly. "Rory." He looked up at me wide-eyed, holding a tiny plastic truck in one hand and a sippy cup in the other. He didn't run. He didn't cry. He just stared, like he was trying to make sense of me. And maybe I was doing the same. Something tightened in my chest. I didn't believe in fate, but something in that moment. His eyes, his posture, even the confused little furrow in his brow, was too familiar to ignore. "Hi," I said, kneeling slowly. I didn't finish. Colette watched with bated breath. Rory just tilted his head and said, "Are you Daddy?" The words shattered me. I nodded, feeling my throat close around something too big to swallow. "Yeah, buddy, I think I am." He walked over and handed me the truck. Just like that, like it was the most natural thing in the world. We played on the floor for nearly an hour. He told me about his toy fire truck, about how he hates carrots, and how Mommy sings too loud in the car. It was like discovering a whole new universe I didn't know had my name written into it. But just as I started to believe this might be the beginning of something real, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I hadn't even remembered turning it on. The message was from an unknown number. "You don't know the full story. Meet me today. 5 p.m. Brighton parking garage, level 2. And beneath it, a photo I'd never seen before. Colette, holding Rory, and the same man from the old photo, Thad, arguing with her. Whatever piece I thought I was building had just cracked wide open. I stared at that message for minutes, barely blinking. My hands were cold. My chest felt tight. Brighton parking garage. 5 p.m. No name, no details. Just that photo. Colette, holding Rory, with Thad gripping her arm in mid-argument. Both their faces frozen in some silent fury I didn't understand. I zoomed in, trying to find some hint of context. A street sign, a license plate, anything. But the photo had been taken up close, possibly by someone hiding in plain sight. Someone who had been watching them. Or maybe watching me. I didn't tell Colette about the message. She was in the kitchen with Rory, singing a song he clearly hated, judging by the way he kept covering his ears and giggling. For a second, it felt like a life I'd dreamed of having, one I'd somehow stumbled back into. But I knew better. Peace that shows up unannounced usually hides something sharp beneath it. At 4:45, I left without saying where I was going. I just told her I needed air. She looked suspicious but didn't push. Maybe she was tired. Or maybe she was hiding something too. The Brighton parking garage was half empty, dimly lit, the kind of place where silence echoes louder than footsteps. Level 2 was deserted, except for a silver hatchback with tinted windows and a figure leaning against the concrete pillar near the elevator. He looked up when I stepped out of the stairwell. Average height, gray hoodie, baseball cap pulled low. But the way he stood, arms crossed, waiting like he'd been here before, there was something deliberate about it. "You Gregory?" he asked. "Who's asking?" He sighed. "I'm the guy who should have been told the truth 2 years ago." My blood chilled. He pulled out a small folder from his backpack and handed it to me. "These are hers," he said. "Letters, emails, copies. And this," he paused, pulling out one last item. "This is the real paternity test." I didn't take it at first. I just stared. He continued, "She played us both. I thought he was mine. Then I thought he was yours. But turns out, neither of us were the father." Silence. I finally spoke, voice barely audible. "Then, whose is he?" The man shook his head. "That's what I've been trying to figure out. But what I do know is, Colette's not who you think she is. And someone's been funding her this whole time." I felt the folder growing heavier in my hands, like it might crush me. He turned to leave but stopped. "You disappeared. I get that. But this time, don't run. Someone has to protect that kid. And it clearly won't be her." Then he walked away, disappearing into the stairwell, leaving me with more questions than I'd had in 2 years. And in my hand, a sealed envelope labeled, "Private. Colette Marrow, confidential agreement." Whatever I thought I knew, it was about to collapse. I drove back with the folder on the passenger seat like it was radioactive. My hands gripped the wheel too tightly, and my thoughts were so loud I couldn't hear the engine. My entire body felt like it was rejecting the truth before I'd even opened the envelope. I wanted to believe it was a lie, some sick prank, an ex with a grudge, a misunderstanding. But deep down, I already knew whatever was inside, it wasn't going to make things simpler. It was going to wreck what little foundation I'd started to rebuild. I parked down the block from the house and sat there for 10 minutes before working up the nerve to break the seal. Inside the envelope was a legal contract, an NDA to be exact. A confidential support agreement between Colette and a name I didn't recognize. Barrett V. Langston. I scanned the pages with trembling fingers. Monthly payments. Private child care covered. Relocation assistance. And then the gut punch, clause for B. The undersigned agrees not to contact the biological father or disclose paternity to any third party without written consent from Mr. Langston. My name wasn't anywhere in it. There was a signature, Colette's, dated almost 6 months before Rory was born. The air left my lungs. I flipped to the last page, an attached lab form. Paternity confirmation. Donor identified only by code. Langston had covered the cost. My throat was dry. My heart felt hollow. I wasn't Rory's father. I wasn't even a backup option. I was just a story she used to survive. And yet, she let me believe it. She let me hold him. She let him call me daddy. When I walked back into the house, I found Colette folding Rory's clothes on the couch like nothing had changed. She looked up at me, smiling like we were building something again. Her smile faded instantly when she saw the folder in my hand. "You knew," I said. "All this time, you knew he wasn't mine." She opened her mouth, then closed it, then opened it again, but no sound came out. I tossed the folder onto the coffee table. "Barrett Langston, care to explain?" Tears filled her eyes. "It's not what you think." I laughed, bitter and broken. "No? Because from where I'm standing, it looks exactly like what I think." She sank onto the couch. "I didn't want to lose you again. After everything. I thought if I gave you a reason to stay, if I gave him a chance at a real dad, maybe we could all just pretend for once." "Pretend," I repeated, my voice cracking. "You gave me a child that wasn't mine, wrapped in a lie and called it redemption?" Rory ran in then, holding a drawing and asking if I liked fire trucks. My knees buckled, and in that moment, I didn't know who I was angrier at, her, him, or myself. I didn't leave that night. I wanted to. My pride wanted to pack up what little trust one had left and walk straight into the dark. But Rory sat beside me on the floor, drawing squiggly lines with crayons and calling them rocket dogs. And suddenly everything that had felt like a wreck began to quiet down. Later, when he fell asleep in my lap, clutching my shirt like a lifeline, I sat there in the dim glow of a nightlight and whispered to myself, he doesn't care about DNA. And the truth was, I didn't either. Not anymore. The next morning, Colette and I sat at the kitchen table. No more lies. No more games. Just silence and truth, finally in the same room. She told me about Barrett Langston, about how their affair started as desperation, financial, emotional, how he'd offered her a safety net she never asked for but felt too afraid to refuse. She said she never loved him. I believed her. I was scared of being alone, she said, staring into her tea. But you left. And somehow I felt like I deserved it. I didn't forgive her. Not in that moment. Maybe not even now. But I understood her. And sometimes that's enough. In the months that followed, I didn't move back in. But I stayed close. I saw Rory every day. Colette and I worked through things. Not as lovers trying to force something broken back together, but as two adults who'd burned everything down and were now trying to build something new, brick by cautious brick. We went to co-parenting therapy. We made a schedule. We got real. And Rory just kept calling me daddy. And I let him, because that little boy, whose eyes weren't mine and whose smile came from a stranger, gave me something I didn't know I was still capable of having. Purpose. So no, this story didn't end the way I thought it would. But maybe that's the point. If you've ever experienced betrayal, forgiveness, or rebuilding something from scratch, drop a comment below. What moment in history made you rethink everything? You've been watching Reddit Confessions, where real stories make us look deeper at our own.